only reason I'm really filming this review is because I had a peach in the fridge. How could I pass up on that thumbnail? I'm gonna be really disappointed in my communication skills if this video goes anywhere near 10 minutes, because I just have so many good things to say about this, only like a handful of new things. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I think it's technically my first horror book I read since starting BookTube. Let me just say I couldn't pick a funnier one to start with. So I heard about this book like when it was first released. I saw some people vlogging about it and I like made note of it and I really wanted to read it, but it took like a year. But then me and my friend were walking down Books-A-Million. I looked into the horror section and I was surprised to see it there because I didn't think it was horror really. Paranormal? Probably. But like outright horror? I was like, interesting. So that kind of sold me right there. But I really love this book. Like, it's probably a 4.5. I'm gonna just like give it a 5 because just how happy it made me. So guys, sit back, enjoy while I give you a little summary about this wonderful book. If there's gonna be any spoilers in this video, you'll bet I will put a little thing right here where the time you can skip to. But for the majority, it will be spoiler-free. But in a sleepy town of South Carolina, I believe, we have a little group of suburbanites, I believe. These stay-at-home moms who have a lot of time on their hands, so they decide to start a book club. But the book club they originally started just was so boring. Like, none of them were reading the books. So this girl, Kitty, decided, hey, let's start our own book clubs and read, like, the trashy thriller, true crime stuff. And all the other moms were like, yes, I would have joined the trashy thriller book club. The moms would start having a ton of fun, just like trying to solve these mysteries as they're reading the books too. And our main character, Patricia, she's starting to wish, wow, I wish something like this would kind of shake up my suburban life. Never wish that, because like 50 pages in, we're already like face to face with one of my worst fears. Cannibals. A deranged old lady who lives in the neighborhood attacks Patricia. Our girl Patricia gets hospitalized, and this attack sweeps in the crazy lady's nephew into the picture. You know, he comes in, he apologizes, his aunt's crazy. Patricia is like surprisingly about the whole thing, like, oh, it's okay. That's my favorite thing about Patricia. She's just like, it's okay. About everything. Cannibal eating her ear, it's okay. She gives CPR to a dead-looking guy, and like, second breath in, he just like, bleh, wakes up, and she hits her right on the head. He's like, what are you doing? She's like, I thought you were dead. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, it's okay. Nothing faces this girl, really. So, the nephew, you know, they enter into each other's life. They start becoming friends, and maybe a little bit more. But then, uh-oh, things start happening, because he's a vampire. Not a spoiler. It's in the summary. And now it's up to Patricia to convince her book club that it's time to start slaying some vampires. Okay, first off, I'm going to tell you my favorite thing about this book. How oblivious the girls were. Usually, I hate oblivious characters. I'm like, why can't you see this? But this book had like that mix of cheesy self-awareness that it pulled it off so well. Because we have such an obvious vampire. Such a clueless heroine. He's literally dropping hints everywhere. And she's like, it's okay. And it was funny. The type of vampire this guy was kind of unique and I liked it. Like it was a good spin on it. But as a horror book, it wasn't that horrifying. Like when I think of horror, I think of me when I was watching a Markiplier video of Escape the Ayuwaki, where I was so freaked out, I was choking myself. I was like, that's horror. That's like the bar we have to get to. This, it had its creepy, uncomfortable moments, but not what I'd call horror. Like it was close to getting there, but I was more intrigued than freaked out. There was this scene though where like rats were crawling all over people. That freaked me out. That was good, but not exactly horrifying. So I think that if you want kind of a chill horror book, this is a good one to start out with if you're like me and haven't read horror before. And if you want something that's cheesy and funny and pretty lighthearted, even though there's like murder everywhere in this book, this is a good place to start out with. Basically, my favorite thing about it was just fun. It didn't take itself seriously. Maybe because I just been reading like fantasy back to back, I really appreciated just like the break in the giant world building. We also have a series of missing children, a mystery there that we have to solve, and we need to put a stop to because no one likes missing children. Although all the children have been missing. They're from the poor part of town, and we got the suburban nights, the suburbs over here. And they're like, oh, it's okay. Runaway children, drugs, that just happens. Like, most of the people in the book club are like, as long as it's over there, we're okay. But our main girl, Patricia's like, no, we need to stop it now. Like, these are children, even though they're not our children, we need to do it now. So maybe like a little commentary about classes right there. But honestly, the main issue of the book is we gotta somehow kill this vampire. And he's sneaky. He's smart, too. He's really smart. Like, every time Patricia is this close to, like, exposing him, he just, like, comes out of nowhere. He's like, well, hey, what you girls talking about? Like, he's convinced the husbands of the this ladies' book club that they're crazy. He's got all the dudes in his pocket, but the women, well, they're starting to believe Patricia's crazy too. And Patricia thinks she's going crazy. So we got like a little cat and mouse game of these people trying to outplay each other, and I loved it. Basically, what I can just say that I love most about this book is that it was really fun. One thing I've always just liked appearing in books were book clubs and ladies in book clubs and the gossip that happens in book clubs, because that's where the drama happens. So any book that has a book club, I'm already interested in. That was a part of one thriller I read, Never Have I Ever, and that was my favorite part. But some bad things about the series that really didn't affect me, but I could see where it would affect other people, were the characters. Like, there is no giant character arc in this book. The people who started out this book leave it the same people, except they have like a few more scars, maybe some missing limbs too. And there's a lot of girls introduced in the book clubs that we could like forget easily or confused with one another. The only ones that are really like standoutish are Grace, who's the one who has like a stick up her butt, or as we say in this channel, a handkerchief in her pocket. We also have Kitty, who's kind of like the rebel. Then we have Slick, who was my favorite, and Slick was like the angel of the group. Innocent. I loved her. Like, she's my little sister basically. And I really loved the vampire at first. Like, in the beginning there's this friendship, like a really good friendship that's happening between the vampire and Patricia. And I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, I didn't know where, like, the book was going at this point. I'm like, they're going to be best friends, and it's just going to be, like, a fun, temporary, I guess. But then, no, it gets twisted. Like, at first, I was shipping these two. I was like, oh, Patricia, leave Carter. Carter's awful. Carter's her husband. But then, spoiler. But then, once we, like, figure out what he did to Slick, I was like, no. So I was united with these ladies to get rid of this punk. The ending was gruesome and graphic, and I loved it. It wasn't open-ended, but it had this like window of opportunity, like, oh, if someone makes a mistake and opens one little door, technically two little doors, we could have a whole sequel, and I want that. Don't make me fanfic this. Or do it. But if you just want to break from fantasy or whatever else you've been reading, but you want a contemporary but you still want some vampires, this is good. Easy writing style. Lots of jokes. My favorite one is when like these girls are united against this vampire and they're walking down the street like at night, all like those heroes in the action movies do. Then Kitty, the one, is like so freaked out. She just starts like babbling about what she's gonna buy her family for Christmas. And one of the other girls is like, what are you talking about, woman? She's like, I don't know. But again, if you want fun, lighthearted, not too deep, is good. You want blood? Oh my gosh, the bathtub scene, there's your blood right there. You like people eating raccoons? Right there. You like mosquitoes? Giant mosquitoes right there. And now I'm gonna go eat that peach that I put in my thumbnail, because peaches are delicious. Not the ones dripping blood though. I wouldn't suggest those. Fun fact, the peaches in this book are only mentioned like 2 times, but still a cute cover though. And also I believe this author wrote My Best Friend's Exorcism. Oh, and this book is not a sequel to anything, but it's written in the same universe as a lot of his other books, so that makes me want to like read those books. Because there's like this other club that was mentioned briefly in this book, and I'm like, I feel like that's important and a little throwback from some other book. So I need to get onto it, which I will right now. Get your own peaches. I'm gonna go eat my own. You can't have it. Stay reading, my friends.